Tonight on News 5 Live, a fatal shooting incident along the Barlboom Road. An alleged triggerman loses his life in an exchange of gunfire. PC Lore Arzu succumbs to injuries received in a tragic shooting last Wednesday in Dangriga. And Senior Counsel Godfrey Smith joins the legal battle for the $3.1 million confiscated from the Mine Bear principals. These stories and more coming up on News 5 Live.
Great Belize Productions Channel 5, proud winner of 9 Caribbean Media Awards for 2021. Best Investigative Report, Best News Item, Best Coverage of People with Disabilities, Best Financial Literacy Journalism, Best Videographer, Best Television Commercial Spot, and the People's Choice Award, with 2 special mentions for Financial Literacy Journalism.
Everyone, including our elderly, needs to stay connected with their loved ones. With Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program, senior citizens can sign up for 10 megabytes of unlimited internet at a low monthly cost of $25. Citizens over 65 can sign up with a valid ID and receive free installation plus 1 month free on selected broadband plans. Visit a Smart showroom near you for more information on how you can enjoy Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program. Smart, bringing people together.
Start your engines now for the National MSME Roadshow, geared towards building the resilience of MSMEs and developing a national MSME directory. Sign up for this 3-day event filled with intensive boot camps, presentations, MSME support and formalization clinics, pop-up shops, and more to help you develop and promote your business. The National MSME Roadshow will be in Corozal starting August 24th, Orange Walk August 31st, Belize City September 7th, Punta Gorda September 14th, Key Cocker September 22nd, Belmopan September 28th, San Ignacio and San Helena on October 5th, Dangriga October 12th, Placencia October 19th, and closes in San Pedro from October 26th. Learn more and sign up for the National MSME Roadshow by visiting the Bell Trade Facebook page or call or WhatsApp us at 613-5139. And let's get your business on the road.
We're ready for the road.
Make effortless memories with a Christmas loan from St. John's Credit Union Limited. Members can qualify for up to 3 times their monthly salary. Promotion runs from October 15th to December 15th. Call any of our St. John's Credit Union offices in Belize City, Belmopan, or Dangriga to book your appointment to make your dream Christmas a reality. St. John's Credit Union Limited. Safe saving, smart borrowing.
Are you eligible for Amnesty 2022? This is your opportunity to apply. When you log on to www.immigration.gov.bz, you will find a full list of required documents needed for the amnesty criteria you are eligible for. Be sure to gather all general and supporting documents needed, including all necessary translations. Then, make your appointment online with any of our registration centers countrywide. There, you will submit your documents and complete the required interviews. Thereafter, an acceptance receipt will be provided. While you wait for a decision on your application, track its progress online and know when to make payment at your nearest government treasury office. Once completed, you will receive your permanent residence card, showing your legal status within Belize. Find out more about the Amnesty 2022 and how to apply online at www.immigration.gov.bz. Be prepared. The registration period will be from the 2nd of August to the 30th of November 2022. Belize Amnesty 2022. Let's continue to build Belize together.
Good evening and welcome to News 5 Live for Monday, October 17th. I am Sabrina Daly. There was a fatal shooting in Borrelboom village on Sunday night that left one man dead and 3 others injured. But at this time, it is not being categorized as a murder, but rather a death investigation because the deceased, a father of 3 from Reggae Street, is believed to have been the gunman in the incident. According to the police, the fatal shooting stems from an argument that occurred earlier that night at a dance in Borrelboom village. And while a trio from Doublehead Cabbage was heading home, they came under gunfire from someone inside an SUV that drove up beside them. A Coast Guard returned fire and struck their assailant in the face. News 5's Dwayne Moody reports.
2 of 3 persons remain hospitalized at the Carl Hushner Memorial Hospital following a shooting in Borrelboom on Sunday night. Lee Bosano, Tanisha Banner, and Chesterfield Baptist were traveling towards Doublehead Cabbage when a red SUV reportedly drove up beside them and fired several shots in their direction. All 3 were injured, but Bosano, who carried a licensed 9mm gun, returned fire, fatally injuring Ferris Ventura.
Some form of argument happened between Lee Bosano, a 35-year-old Coast Guard, and Ferris Ventura of a Belize City Reggae Street address. They are saying that Bosano, along with his 2 friends, all occupants in his vehicle, left from the dance in Borrelboom and getting less than a mile away from that area, he was heading to, we believe, one of the villages in the Belize River Valley area. He was approached by Ferris Ventura in a red SUV. The witnesses are saying that Ventura opened fire on the vehicle that Bosano and the other 2 occupants, Tanisha Banner and Chesterfield Baptist, were in. And when he opened fire, of course, Mr. Bosano has a licensed firearm. And in responding to the fire that he was brought under, he fired several shots towards Ventura vehicle.
The family told News 5 that Bosano and Banner simply traveled to Borrelboom to pick up someone and were not attending the event that was taking place in the village. Bosano has since been released and is in Doublehead Cabbage recovering. His girlfriend, Tanisha Banner, remains in a critical condition on a ventilator. Ventura, mortally wounded from a gunshot to the face, was transported to the KHMH in the same red SUV that was used in the attack on Bassano and his passengers. The driver of the red SUV reportedly sped off from the hospital. Police say Ventura was pronounced dead sometime after 1 o'clock this morning.
We know that Mr. Bassano and his occupants, the other occupants of his vehicle, were transported to the KHMH, where a red SUV arrived a few minutes later with Veris Ventura in it, who had serious body injuries, several gunshot wounds. Mr. Ventura unfortunately lost his life whilst undergoing treatment at the KHMH.
While Banner's family was too distraught to speak with us, we did manage to get an interview with Ventura's girlfriend, who says that she was shocked by the news of his death. Shamira Turton says that it was unlike Ventura not to be home last night and that she's heartbroken by his death.
The way Honey bring out from the morgue, I never really see his face, but I know he found upside down. Anyway, and I know that I never really see it. But from the picture where I see one gunshot, and
You said he didn't come home last night. Did he say where he was going or anything like that?
No.
Or who he was with?
No, he never did say. Because we made a good one. I made watch Passions, and he made play Free Fire upon his phone. And then I bailed and I gone by my granny. It's like after 9, but usually I know it's called down the home, you know. When I reach here, I'm like, what the hell? But I know that the girl eating at the club too, so I said, well, maybe that day. So when I come back, I finish watch my episode and Passions and what's not. When I watch the time now after 12, I said it's not like he can, even though they have things at the club, he come home.
So what happens in a case like this where the alleged assailant is killed?
I did not say murder investigation. I said death investigation of a death. One, Miss Banner is still critical at the KHMH. And from the eyewitnesses report, it would suggest that initial contact was made by Ventura. Unfortunately for Ventura, Mr. Bassano had a licensed gun on him, which he used. So at the completion of the investigation, we will submit the file to the DPP and will be guided from that office as to what, if any, charges will be levied.
Dwayne Moody for News 5.
On Sunday morning, Police Constable Lorraine Arzu succumbed to injuries she received during a shooting incident in Dangriga a few days earlier. The 27-year-old officer had been placed on life support inside the intensive care unit at the Carl Huchner Memorial Hospital since being transported from the Southern Regional Hospital on Wednesday night. It's a massive loss for the Belize Police Department, as PC Arzu had a fruitful career in law enforcement ahead of her. Earlier today, News 5 caught up with Lorraine's sibling, Sarah Arzu, who told us that the family was already prepared for the worst, following a very grim prognosis.
It was something that we already set our mind to, although we had percentage or chances with hopes and prayers that she would have pulled through, but our family had sat down and as well put our mind to that. Yes, because from the information that the doctor gave us that it is highly likely that she was not going to make it. So we already had our mind set to that, but still thinking that she was going to pull through with God's grace. No?
And so you were informed yesterday that your sister had passed?
Yes, sir. I received a call from Carl Huchner around 1100 hours. And the doctor just stated that she's so sorry and she just wanted to give us the time, which she said that my sister passed away around 10:33 yesterday morning. She's in a better place now. As a family, we're just keeping together and we just have to accept what happened.
What is the police department sharing with you guys? I know that they are doing their own investigation to try to find the person behind this deadly shooting. What are they telling you?
When it comes to the police department, I must congratulate them. They've been doing an awesome job when it comes to assisting with my sister from the inception or from the incident happened, and again on a day-to-day basis. When it comes to the investigation, so far they have not relayed anything sufficient to me as yet, but they are keeping in touch, and I must congratulate them on that.
This morning, Assistant Superintendent of Police Fitzroy Yearwood, as well as Minister of Home Affairs Karim Musa, spoke fondly of the fallen constable. In an appearance on Open Your Eyes earlier, Musa recalled PC Arzu being a member of the very first intake since he took over as Minister of Home Affairs.
Well, I'd like to extend our heartfelt condolences to the family of our fallen sister, PC 88 Lori Arzu. Ms. Arzu was shot in an incident last Thursday in Dangriga, and our colleagues have been trying their best to put together the circumstances surrounding her death. She lost her battle for life yesterday morning, sometime around 10:30 a.m. when a medical officer pronounced her dead at the intensive care unit at KHMH. We have been receiving several information in regards to what may have happened that cost her her life, and we are investigating every angle.
A very unfortunate incident took place in Dangriga, whereby two individuals were shot. One of them is our beloved PC Lori Arzu, who lost her fight. We know she was valiantly fighting for her life over the last few days. We in the ministry and the police department and the nation collectively have been hoping and praying for her speedy recovery. Unfortunately, she could not make it, and so we are all very much mourning the loss of PC Arzu. Yesterday, while we were in Dangriga on our rural tour, we got word of her passing. And so we were there to share in that moment with the brothers and sisters in the Dangriga formation in a moment of silence in recognition of her sacrifice as a police officer. For me, it is very near and dear because she is a member of Squad 95, and as Minister of Home Affairs, that is my first squad that graduated last December. So it's a huge loss to Squad 95, and of course to the greater police department, and of course to the nation of Belize.
A resident of Antelope Street Extension has been charged in connection with a near-fatal chopping incident in Scotland Half Moon on Saturday afternoon. Just before 4 o'clock today, Roberto Arana was reportedly attacked by a group of men and brutally chopped multiple times to the head and body. He remains hospitalized at this time and in a critical condition. Today, police formally arrested and charged 33-year-old Florentino Ruiz for the crimes of attempted murder, use of deadly means of harm, and taking conveyance without lawful authority. This morning, during the weekly police press brief, Communications Director of the Belize Police Department, ASP Fitzroy Yearwood, shared details of the incident.
Receive sharp injuries to the face, the body, and I think even lost 2 fingers during that incident, where the assailants made good their escape in his black pickup truck. We have since detained 3 persons in connection with this chopping incident. We recovered the stolen vehicle, but Mr. Arana is still in a critical condition in the KHMH. Hopefully, we will have enough to charge these persons very soon, but I know that these persons were identified as the persons responsible for Mr. Arana's injuries.
Any insight into the incident itself and what caused the escalation to actual injuries, sir?
Well, from investigators, they're saying that Mr. Arana was involved in an argument with one of these assailants. And when it escalated, they drew for their machetes. I must also say that these persons are from Belize City, believed to be members of the MS-13 gang. And these persons made good their escape and were captured. One of them was captured not too long after the incident, like within 10 minutes. And of course, the other two were captured here in Belize City, in the Crewman Road area, the Crewman Lagoon area.
31-year-old Nikolai Reese beat a murder charge in court earlier today after spending almost 4 years on pre-trial detention at the Belize Central Prison. Reese was accused of the shooting death of Jose Mo, a cab driver who was killed near the 8 Mile community. Represented by attorney Leroy Banner, a no-case submission was entered on Reese's behalf, which Ricardo O'Neill Sandcroft upheld. It is alleged that on May 21, 2018, Ma was called to pick up a fare at the New Asia restaurant. The taxi man was with his girlfriend when he went to pick up the passenger on Vernon Street. While en route to Mile 8, Ma was asked to pick up another customer, whom he drove to a destination where he was killed. Ma's girlfriend escaped unharmed, and the prime suspect was identified as Nikolai Reese. In court, the Crown was unable to locate Ma's girlfriend to testify in the case. The Crown submitted that all attempts to locate her were futile. Justice Sandcroft, in arriving at his decision, agreed that all reasonable steps were not taken by the police to locate the primary witness, subsequently upholding the no-case submission. The House of Representatives met today in ordinary fashion, where the issue of crime also became a matter for debate. The leader of the opposition, Shine Barrow, chastised the government over the current murder rate. But Minister of Home Affairs, Karim Musa, explained that fixing the crime rate is not an overnight job.
I don't know if you take these things lightly, but it's not good for tourism. It's not good for economic development, for investor confidence. It's not good for our citizenry. Plan Belize promise citizen security as a priority agenda item. And we are not seeing that. And it gives me no pleasure to point this out. I wish that you could resolve this. And what I'm asking for in the first instance is to get up and call a press conference and face the nation and accept that we have a problem. This liberal approach, this leftist approach that, okay, yes, there is social issues, there is poverty, we understand that, but there must be justice. People are killing with impunity. Murderers are acting as if they don't respect the authority.
Crime is not just a policing issue. To be able to reach out to my cabinet colleagues and to know that they are going to answer that call. The Minister of Education has answered that call, offering 40 scholarships to at-risk youth at ITVET. The Minister of Youth and Sports, the Honorable Rodwell Ferguson, has participated in so many training activities for our young people because we know we have to break the cycle. This is not an easy fix, member. This is not about band-aid fixes. This is about the long walk back. You rightly pointed out it's 41 years that has taken us to this point. But you gave us this broken vehicle. Your party gave us this and you want us to fix it within a year. When in fact, this is going to take time. And you know that. Deep down you know that. You understand that. This is a big problem.
Coming up, the legal battle continues over CIBL's $3.1 million seizure.
I am.
We are.
All of us.
Together. 12 decades working to achieve health for all. Individually, collectively, universally.
This is our mission.
We stand together with all people.
In every community, every country, throughout the hemisphere.
Because we are healthier.
Together.
We are the Pan American Health Organization, celebrating 120 years of solidarity in advancing health and well-being, leaving no one behind.
Come my friend, we are having a very big sale at Mikado and it is very exciting. Come over and see all the new items at Mikado. We are having a Diwali sale. That is right. We are having a Diwali sale this weekend. Enjoy a Diwali sale as you've never seen. It is a real true sale and lots of bargains, many discounts. I am full of excitement. So I am just wanting you to know that you need to come to Mikado and take full advantage of this year's sale that will be from the 20th to the 24th of October. That is Thursday, Friday, Saturday and then Monday. You come and get good deals this weekend, okay? Mikado is your #1 textile powerhouse, centrally located at 37 Albert Street in the heart of Belize City. You must come over. Many good deals and please bring all your family and friends.
to DigiTV. Step into the world of digital entertainment. DigiTV gives you access to 100+ channels on your TV or your mobile device at unbeatable prices. Take your shows with you wherever you go. It's a new level of freedom. Enjoy your favorite entertainment, sports, family, Latin, and local channels. No more fighting for the TV remote. You can access whenever you want from 2 devices at the same time. DigiTV is for everyone. And with the fastest fiber and mobile networks in the country, you are guaranteed to have the best experience ever. There's no installation required. Sign up for the Max package for only $40 monthly and get the first 2 months for just $30. For a limited time, get 50% off a Fire Stick when you sign up. Download the DigiTV app from the Android or Apple stores. Just WhatsApp us at 608-8888 to sign up. It's that easy. Watch, experience, enjoy DigiTV today.
V-Bucks by Benny's, Belize's newest multi-brand rewards program. To access V-Bucks, Download the mobile app or access the website portal at bbox.bz and set up your account. If you already have a Benny's account, chances are you already have B-Bucks. Don't let them go to waste. To earn B-Bucks, make a purchase at any Benny's location or at any of these Benny's entities, namely Island Freight Forwarders, Best Manufacturing, Benquip, and B-Mart. Once B-Bucks are earned, reward yourself. Use B-Bucks to buy items or exchange for cash. You can also double, triple, or even quadruple your B-Bucks on promotional days. It is simple. Purchase, earn, redeem. Loyalty is always rewarding with B-Bucks. Brought to you by Benny's, celebrating 75 years of quality and savings.
The Orange Walk Magistrate Court is hearing an application for further retention of funds by the Financial Intelligence Unit. The FIU has applied to have the court grant permission for them to keep in their possession for an additional 3 months over $3 million seized from the Caribbean International Brewery Company Limited's compound on October 6th. CIBL is the parent company for Mindbear. The multi-agency raid was carried out on suspicion of human trafficking. 14 Chinese nationals were detained on immigration offenses. The FIU claims that it has reasonable grounds to suspect that the funds, which were found inside a safe along with a number of identification documents, are connected to human trafficking, money laundering, and tax evasion. The hearing continued today before Magistrate Deborah Rogers, who is expecting to hear the testimonies of 3 witnesses before coming to a verdict. Today's hearing saw the conclusion of the first witness's testimony, Inspector Jian Young. He led the search team into CIBL's compound on October 6 under the power of a search warrant. Inspector Young was also responsible for seizing over $3 million from the compound before turning the funds over to the FIU. The FIU has added senior counsel Godfrey Smith to its team of lawyers, while former Prime Minister Dean Barrow continues to represent CIBL. A sticking point for senior counsel Barrow arose as a preliminary objection. His protest is that the FIU is without merit to bring such an application under the Money Laundering and Terrorism Protection Act because the FIU did not make the original seizure. Here is what Barrow told reporters today.
There's no causal connection. The inspector admits he did not have any suspicion of money laundering. He thought the proceeds were derived from 14 Chinese being trafficked. There's nothing to show that these people are being trafficked in any event. But that apart, what the application said, was that this was money that was seized by the police, then re-seized by the FIU. Which re-seizure by the FIU? It was always the one seizure by the inspector who sent for the FIU and afterwards gave them custody of the money. But it is his seizure, there is no re-seizure. So the FIU is completely without any remit to bring this application. And even if that is not so, you can't bring it more than 72 hours after. You can't hold the cash for more than 72 hours. They tried to get around it by suggesting, well, the FIU re-seized when it was handed custody at 9 the night, which would perhaps bring the... No, you heard I was the one who seized, and I seized at 8 and 9 a.m. They got a report from the tax people dated what? Today is the 17th, maybe midweek last week. Remember, their application can only succeed if it is within time and if the original seizure was lawful. It could only have been lawful if the inspector reasonably suspected that the money was the proceeds of tax evasion or was accumulated because they were hiding taxes, was in some other form money laundering. You've heard him say he had no suspicion of that sort. So how you will bring that in now? You develop a suspicion after the fact based on what on some report you get from the tax services. No, that cannot be contained within the four corners of this application, premised on what the position was at the time the inspector seized, in order to show that it was a lawful seizure.
We also heard from Senior Counsel Godfrey Smith. Following his first day on the case, he says that he is satisfied that the seizure of $3.1 million was lawful and that there are grounds for the magistrate to rule in favor of the FIU's application. Smith's confidence is based on the argument that proof is not required to satisfy the magistrate, that there are reasonable suspicions on which the application should be granted. According to Smith, these suspicions can be derived from observations made by the Inspector Young during the raid, as well as the information and reports that were received by him. He contends that there is a misunderstanding of the nature of this case.
I think there is a misunderstanding of what the nature of this case is. This case is not proof or innocence of money laundering or any other crime. This case is simply an application to hold on to seized cash for 3 months pending investigation. What is the test? What must the applicant satisfy the magistrate of? Simply that there is reasonable suspicion that the cash is related to a criminal offense. It doesn't say which criminal offense. So if you look at Section 38 of the Act under which the application is made, it says you must satisfy the magistrate that when you seize the cash or when you seek to detain it, that it is based on a reasonable suspicion of the commission of an offense. Reasonable suspicion simply means that the officer or the team who did the seizure must have some grounds. It doesn't have to amount to proof. So what you would have heard were arguments and submissions about proof and evidence, when all that is required is suspicion. But the suspicion can't be fanciful or imaginary or whimsical. It must be based on some factual circumstances. And so you would have heard the first witness speak to certain indicators of human trafficking that led him to form a reasonable suspicion that this was occurring. I noted that in earlier public communication on this matter, the Caribbean Brewery International mentioned that the reason for the stash of cash was because the banks would not allow for more than 50,000, any deposits of more than 50,000. And obviously we would have gotten information through the FIU that in fact that is not the case. As you are aware, the FIU has certain powers to request banking information and so on. And so we intend, as this case develops, to demonstrate that that is a complete untrue. It's a complete lie.
All indications are that despite the outcome of the hearing in the Orange Walk Magistrate Court, the matter will be taken to the Supreme Court for a verdict. As for the gravity of the case, both senior counsels on different sides of the courtroom are former attorney generals of Belize. As we said, Smith was only brought on today. Barrow suspects that the FIU retained the senior counsel in light of the objections he raised during Friday's hearing.
Well, I believe the FIU, while I did not succeed in my original preliminary objection, took warning from that and figured it's better to get somebody of Mr. Smith's standing, because I believe they recognize that they are facing some very serious, not to say meritorious, objections.
I would say it's a serious matter, not only for the amount of cash involved and the various offenses that may be involved. But as I'm sure you're aware, Mr. Vasquez, the United States government really, the hackles go up in relation to human trafficking. As you're aware, Belize and many countries in the world are put on a list of not taking these things seriously. So in addition to the regular Belizean domestic landscape, there's also that other landscape where on the international scene, the way you treat with cases of human trafficking is carefully scrutinized and repercussions flow from that. So yes, obviously it's a case that this state must take seriously.
FIU is also being represented by attorney Janelle Thomas Shorter. Earlier this month, the Court of Appeals ruled in favor of former Tourism Director Karen Bevins and against Prime Minister John Briceño and Love FM. The court upheld a previous decision handed down in August by the Supreme Court that Bevins is due a total of $90,000 from the Media House and Briceño in aggravated and compensatory damages. While PM Briceño refrained from speaking on the ruling, he said that he stands by his position on the matter. And while he has to respect the law, Briceño did say that perhaps the government needs to take a more serious look at the matter from a governance standpoint, which is to look at the legislation that allows for contracts to be awarded close to election time.
I do have my opinion on that matter, and it has not changed, and it will not change. But what I have done is I've been meeting with the attorney. We've not discussed it as yet, and if there is case or room for appeal, then we will appeal it. But if the attorney would advise it's best that we just settle, then that's the law. We will follow the law. When you give certain contracts just close before the elections to people that the government favors, and once that happens, that by itself gives credence to what I said before. So probably something that needs to be looked at seriously to avoid those kinds of things. So, but I think something for us to be able to discuss later.
The Public Service Commission remains without a chairperson. For health reasons, Crescencio Sosa, the last nominee that was agreed upon by the government and the opposition, had to give up the position before he even occupied the seat. Now the government has come up with another name, which it hopes the opposition will agree to. Public Service Union President Dean Flowers had proposed someone, but the Prime Minister said there are some legal issues surrounding that name. That aside, he went on to chide Flowers for what he thinks is acting outside of his office.
Crescencio Sosa was the first that we really attempted to nominate, and everybody had great respect for Crescencio Sosa, who worked extensively for government, for both governments. Unfortunately, just before he was to start his work, he got sick, and so is his wife. So as a family, they said that it's best that he does not take up the position, because once, for those that know Crescencio Sosa, once he takes on something, he goes all out, and obviously because of his condition, he would not be able to do that. Once that happened, then we have been looking and trying to find somebody that would meet the criteria, that will be able to do a good job, to be able to get rid of all the backlog within the Public Service Commission. Last week, after discussing many names were coming up. A lot of them we felt that they were just too close to the PUP, although they would have been competent, and we could have named them, but we just felt it's best take your time and put somebody good, as opposed to just say, okay, make a hurry, put somebody just because. And so yesterday, last week, I interviewed Diana Murillo Price, who has been a public officer for over 40 years, and she's about to retire probably in the next 2-3 weeks from now. And she has said that she'd be honored to take on that position. So if the leader of the opposition has not been written to, he will be written between today and tomorrow of the name. But the Public Service Commission also, or the President, need to understand what is his role. If he wants to make those name them, then he needs to get elected and become a leader of a party and then become the prime minister. They can make recommendations, and if he would only be a little bit more respectful, I think he could get a lot more done.
What about the people that he represents, though? The public officers, a lot of them of who are going to retire or soon to be, and they are on the waiting list.
No, I agree. No, trust me, I understand on the issue of trying to address that matter. We have a number of public officers that have retired and they need their money, and so we want to get it done as soon as Ms. Murillo takes over that position. Trust me, we'll ensure that we can get that done as quickly as we possibly can. But we want to make sure that we find the right person.
After the break, preliminary flood impacts currently stand in the tens of millions of dollars. We'll tell you more about that, but first, here's a look at the weather forecast.
Good evening, Belize, and welcome to your weather report and forecast for tonight, Monday, October 17, from the National Meteorological Service. I am Ronald Gordon. Most of you saw mainly fair conditions across the country this weekend, except for Sunday, when a weak tropical wave produced a few showers here or there. Conditions continued mainly fair for today, with radar imagery showing mostly clear skies across the country, except for some isolated showers over the Maya Mountains. As we go into tonight, conditions will continue mainly fair across most areas. However, if you are down south in Punta Gorda, there's a higher chance that you may see an isolated shower or two. In terms of our temperatures, your lows will be about 74 Fahrenheit out west in Belmopan and also in San Ignacio. If you're along coastal areas, especially in Belize City and San Pedro, you may want to keep those fans handy as we expect a very warm 82 Fahrenheit tonight. In terms of tomorrow, we expect mostly sunny conditions across most of the country with a higher chance for isolated showers if you are in Dangriga, Placencia, Punta Gorda, and also out west in Belmopan and San Ignacio. In terms of those high temperatures, those will peak to about 93 Fahrenheit in San Ignacio and also in Orange Walk, while along coastal areas, your highs will be about 87 in San Pedro and Belize City, about 88 in Dangriga and Placencia, and also 87 down south in Punta Gorda. In terms of what we can expect going forward, tomorrow Tuesday will continue mainly fair with the chance of only isolated showers developing. On Wednesday, we'll see a gradual increase in showers as a cold front begin affecting the country. That front will move slowly southward, and by Friday, we should be under mostly cloudy and cool conditions with light rain that most of you would refer to as north rain. As we look at the tropics, strong upper level winds and very dry conditions are preventing any cyclone development at this time. However, we want to look at this band of showers and thunderstorms over the northwestern Gulf of Mexico. This system is associated with the cold front that will affect the country as it gradually drifts to the south during the coming days. In terms of our marine conditions, your winds will be out of the east to southeast at 5 to 15 knots tonight and tomorrow, shifting a bit more to the east tomorrow night. Sea conditions will be light chop, becoming choppy by tomorrow night. In terms of the astronomical conditions, there will be a high tide at 3:22 tomorrow morning, a low at 11:48 tomorrow night, another high at 6:17 tomorrow evening, and a low at 10:44 tomorrow night. Your sun will rise at 5:46 in the morning, and a beautiful sunset can be observed at 5:28 tomorrow evening. Moonset will be at 1:19 tomorrow afternoon. And that's it from the National Meteorological Service. Join us again on Wednesday for another weather report and forecast. Do have a pleasant and enjoyable evening.
My lights, yeah. Go to my lights, go to my lights. You gotta go to my lights, yeah. I wanna shine, 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 shine. I hit my lights cause that's my plan, 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 plan. My lights have your favorite brand, 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 brand. Just come with nothing in your hands, 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 hands. My lights And it goes on and on and on. It goes on and on and on, yeah. I wanna celebrate with my lights, sing yeah, yo, baby, let's go. My lights. I wanna celebrate with my lights, sing yeah, yo, baby, let's go. We going to the store, but we gon' do right. We gon' light a life, only with my light. We going to the store, but we gon' do right. We gon' light a life, only with my life.
Westtrack Limited is committed to working hard every day to ensure you get the right products at the most affordable price. We strive to have the greatest selection of quality, affordable, and timely products and services that will enhance your personal or corporate lives. With an extensive line of products, we'll be sure to have what you need. For even faster service, you can contact us on Facebook, WhatsApp, or by email. We look forward to seeing you come through our doors at your nearest Westtrack branch today.
¿Sabías que Hospital Galenia modificó los protocolos de seguridad y prevención de salud ante la pandemia de COVID-19 para evitar contagios?
Creamos un concepto que denominamos quirófano santuario no COVID.
Hospital Galenia, más que un hospital.
Hurricane Julia swept through Central America almost 2 weeks ago and left in its wake several countries coping with flood damages. In Belize, early estimates are that tens of millions of dollars in losses or damages have been identified, with more projected in the coming days as the waters continue to push across the landscape towards the Caribbean Sea. In many instances where damages were reported, residents in the Cayo district lost access to clean drinking water when their wells got contaminated. Today at the National Assembly, the Prime Minister John Briceño said that there is a budget of $5 million that can be used immediately, the accounting for which will be shared at the next House meeting.
The main effects of Hurricane Julia is damage to homes, subsistence farming, people's livelihoods, especially the residents of the Belize, Toledo, and Cayo districts. Our infrastructure, crops, livestock, household items, people's personal assets, even like vehicles. We saw one, I think, was in Benke, where actually the heavy floodings actually washed away a small SUV. And equipment were all affected by those who were in the way of the rising waters. Initial reports from the Ministry of Disaster Risk Management is that 50 communities and approximately 20,000 people have been affected. Of course, some more than others. As we speak, we still have 4 shelters that are remaining open, 3 in the western village of Kahal Creek, and 1 in the village of More Tomorrow. As of this past Saturday, 96 persons were being housed in these 4 shelters. Of course, Madam Speaker, we are happy that no lives were lost, but for sure, many lives were affected, with some families losing everything due to the flooding. Preliminary assessments indicate that costs for the impacted communities are estimated to be in the tens of millions of dollars, with the higher amount attributed to the agriculture, tourism, and infrastructure sectors.
Today we traveled to Crooked Tree Village, where Lionel Smith, NEMO's district coordinator for Belize Rural, gave us an update on the flood situation on the ground. As was expected, 2 areas along the causeway are under approximately 1 foot of water. In other areas in the Belize River Valley, access roads were inundated and the Belize Coast Guard was called in to assist. Fortunately, this is believed to be the extent of the flooding. Here's DC Smith with that update.
The water is kind of like coming up
I think right now we are at a little over 10 inches. If it continues to come up like this, then maybe we will be require the services of the Coast Guard. But at this moment in time, we are not anticipating a great rise in the water level. This spot that you see behind me here, this is the first phase of it. There's another spot as you go a little more up before you reach the Causeway Bridge. That part is a little bit deeper. I think that part is like up to a feet. And this part here is like 6 to 9 inches. We did get some calls yesterday, and we were monitoring the situation closely because residents was concerned that maybe people are visiting and they might go over and get trapped over the other side. But it has not reached to that level as yet, as I said. So we are monitoring it closely, and then if we need to put out the, an advisory to say, well, it's rising at a rapid pace, and then it's going to present deterrents for the vehicles going in. But it's not that bad at this moment in time. And we also have the Coast Guard on standby as well. So if push comes to shove, as they say, then we'll get the Coast Guard out here to ferry people, back and forth. We had a Coast Guard deployment out in Rancho Dolores to assist the resident out in that side, because what has happened, the water has came up on the road quite high. It was almost 3 feet. So the Coast Guard in turn didn't have to deploy their vessel. They had a heavy-duty vehicle that is has a little height, so they kind of like utilize the vehicle to ferry the people back and forth. They closed down operations out there about approximately midday, and they returned to base. So the water out there in Rancho has, before the approach of the bridge, has receded completely.
The impasse between ASR-BSI and the Belize Sugarcane Farmers Association has extended well beyond the close of the 2022 crop. All this while, there is Florencio Marin Sr. acting as an intermediary contracted by the government to try and bring both sides to some common ground. Following today's House meeting, Prime Minister John Briceño told reporters that both sides have agreed to a mediation process and that he suspects will begin in about another week. But the sticking points for the disputing parties are these. The BSCFA wants ASR-BSI to transfer $20 million in value to the farmers since the cost of production is hurting them. But the company is saying that it is simply not viable for them to do so at this time. Here's how the PM weighed in on the matter.
To be fair, no company will give up $20 million. And I've been saying that to the Belize Cane Farmers Association, that if you give up $20 million from revenues of what they end up with about $60 million, you're driving them to bankruptcy. And we need both sides. We need the miller and we need the farmers. So we need to find out a compromise from both sides. A number of issues have already been addressed. Now the issue now is the cost of the production of the direct consumption sugars, where they're saying they are charging a manufacturing cost of $150 per ton. I have pointed out to the farmers that from at the start of this whole negotiations, the cane farmers wanted the right to be able to audit the costs that are charged at the top to come to what we call the net ship value. And BSI was resisting that. Not because of the negotiations back and forth. No, BSI has finally relented on that and said, okay, we are prepared to allow the cane farmers with, of course, having professionals to come in and audit that. And my point is then, once you do that, then you're starting to move in the right direction. Then that will then be able to say what are the true costs. Because the cane farmers are right. For all of these years, they have never been able to have access to the true numbers. I mean, BSI would tell them, okay, the direct consumption sugar costs X million, this one costs X million, without really giving the cost.
The bus operators have made clear their gripe that the government would be getting a grant of 3 electric buses from the United Nations Development Program, UNDP. They raised their gripe with the media several weeks ago on grounds that they are the ones running the buses, not the Ministry of Transport. Now, they have reportedly written to the UNDP requesting consideration in their grant scheme. Today, we asked Minister of Transport Rodwell Ferguson for his reaction to the bus operator's letter to the non-governmental organization.
They approached UNDP, and UNDP is saying that I think they are getting the funds from the European Union as a grant for certain projects in Belize. So she don't believe that the European Union can give a grant of maybe $25, $30 million they desire. But they say maybe if they negotiate properly, they may get a grant portion of it, and the rest will be paid back over a period of time. But I mean, they are trying their best to figure out what is the way forward. And I'm not here to bash the operators, to support them and see how they can improve, but they must improve. I'm not asking them to meet 100% because it's almost impossible. I'm asking them that I want to see the transformation begin in December of 2022. So if I got 20%, then I say, well, that will start. This morning I asked the Chief Transport Officer to give me a list of all the road service permits when they expire. Then we'll see what will happen from there. I can't guarantee that I'm going to DFC, I'm going to government and ask them for $30 million. It is important for the government to have to figure out how they can support and assist. So when it comes to the concession and the exemption, there might be some possibility. That's not my purview, the purview of the cabinet.
When we return, Senior Court's bill does not get the opposition stamp of approval.
As the world's weather and climate are changing, so too must the energy sector's approach to ensuring a more resilient power system. With funds provided by the Global Environment Facility's Special Climate Change Fund and the World Bank acting as the executing agency, BEL, with support from the Government of Belize and the National Meteorological Services, is able to lead the implementation of special projects under the country's Energy Resilience for Climate Adaptation Project, ERCAP.
The ERCAP includes a number of sub-projects, such as upgrading of BEL's existing stations, construction of new stations, installation of weather stations across Belize, installation of lightning detection system, a number of consultancy service, and a number of other projects that will help to enhance Belize's energy sector against the effects of climate change. And we understand that these project activities may affect different communities or different stakeholders in different ways. And thus, we have established a grievance redress mechanism. The grievance redress mechanism is really a way for concerned communities, stakeholders, or persons to be able to lodge their concerns.
To report a concern, call our toll-free number at 0800-BEL-CARE or 0800-235-2273, or visit our website at www.bel.com.bz and complete the online grievance redress mechanism form. Or you can also choose to download, print, and complete at your own convenience. Printed forms can be delivered to the nearest BEL office.
All grievances received are highly confidential and managed solely by BEL.
The Government of Belize, World Bank, and Belize Electricity Limited, partnering to reinforce the national power grid against the effects of weather and climate change.
Babe, have you seen the advisory that NEMA just posted? There's going to be a storm.
Storm? It's not a storm. That's just a little rain. We'll be all right.
Thank goodness that was only a simulation. But what if it wasn't? Consider this. You've worked hard building your future, your family, your business, your home. RF&G Insurance has policy options that can protect your most valued assets so that you can focus on what matters most. Include RF&G Insurance in your hurricane prep. Remember, it pays to get it right with RF&G Insurance, a Road Group company.
¿Sabías que Hospital Galenia modificó los protocolos de seguridad y prevención de salud ante la pandemia de COVID-19 para evitar contagios?
Garantizamos contener a los pacientes que allí estamos manejando y disminuir riesgos de infecciones para el resto del hospital.
Hospital Galenia, más que un hospital.
Everyone, including our elderly, needs to stay connected with their loved ones. With Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program, senior citizens can sign up for 10 megabytes of unlimited internet at a low monthly cost of $25. Citizens over 65 can sign up with a valid ID and receive free installation plus 1 month free on selected broadband plans. Visit a Smart showroom near you for more information on how you can enjoy Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program. Smart, bringing people together.
If you are ailing due to a chronic disease and are left permanently invalid before retirement age, you may want to check if you qualify to receive invalidity benefit. The invalidity benefit exists for persons who are unable to continue working due to permanent illness. To qualify, you must be under 60 years old, must be sick for 26 consecutive weeks and certified to be medically unable to perform any type of work, must have at least 5 years of paid SSB contributions and at least 5 paid within the 3 months leading up to your illness. If you do not qualify for the invalidity pension, you may be eligible for the invalidity grant. Want to know more about invalidity benefit? Visit our website or contact any of our offices to have someone assist you. Also, be sure to visit our Facebook page and give us a like to stay informed. Social Security Board, safeguarding you, your family, your future.
During today's House sitting, Minister of Education Francis Fonseca rose to expound on a bill for an act to repeal and replace the Supreme Court of Judicature Act to provide for new positions within the judiciary to assist in the functions and administration of the senior courts. He explained that the Attorney General's ministry held relevant consultations with stakeholders in the judiciary and has also looked at the judiciaries of other countries before coming up with the proposed bill. There was a debate on the bill and it did not get the support of Leader of the Opposition Shine Barrow and Corozal North Area Representative Ugo Pat. Barrow explained the reason for his objection, and when he was finished, Minister of Home Affairs Karim Musa and Minister of Education Francis Fonseca shared their views on why the bill is necessary.
This government has not taken seriously its promise to properly fund the judiciary. It was a part of their plan beliefs, and they have not delivered on it, Madam Speaker. So, to understand what this reconfiguration means, it's not as simple as having the now Chief Justice oversee all of the other courts. It costs. This has more of a demand on spending than our current configuration. And if we cannot properly finance our judiciary as stands, how can we undertake to reconfigure where it will cost more than we are currently spending?
And I wholeheartedly agree with him, because I sat on that side of the House condemning the fact that we have underfunded our judiciary for 13 long years. And let me say, Leader of the Opposition, thankfully we have records that when we come to this Honorable House next year for our budget debate, I am hoping that you give the same type of response when we increase the budget to allow for greater efficiency within our judiciary.
The bill is all about putting in place a plan, putting in place a structure for the efficient, effective administration of justice in Belize. You have to start with a plan. You have to start with a structure. And that is what this senior courts bill achieves. It creates the structure, it creates the plan for the effective and efficient administration of justice in Belize. Access to justice, that is right. We all agree, I mean, you know, that we obviously have to do more to allocate more funds to the judiciary. I think we all agree on that point.
A new law has come into effect, giving unlicensed tourists accommodation properties the opportunity to register with BTB and have all their outstanding taxes canceled. While tourist accommodations are obligated to pay taxes under the Accommodation Tax Remission of Arrears Act, all those unregistered accommodations that have been operating for the past few years can now earn a clean slate by registering their business. BTB recently launched the Hotel Amnesty program. Today, the representatives from the Quality Management and Capacity Development Department at BTB held a press conference to explain further.
We estimate it could be anywhere from 500 to probably 1,500 properties that are not registered. We do not have that kind of information as to how much they have made in revenue, but it's in the high numbers.
Yeah, we did an assessment before COVID, and I think what they found was at least 20 to 30% of what we currently have, that number, which would be somewhere around 200 to 300 properties were in the industry without a license, primarily those that are selling on platforms like Airbnb and VRBO, which is what this amnesty specifically is focusing on, because it's not open to all hotels, resorts, and that type. It's really focused on 4 different categories of accommodations that we have in the country. One of them are apartments, condominiums is the second one, villas, and also room rentals is another one that we are focusing on, because these are the typologies that, for the most part, we know that are operating on Airbnb and VRBO, but many have not come yet to be able to formalize their registration and get a license with the BTB.
In the normal course, these tourist properties would be required to pay their arrears and penalties upon registration. Director of Quality Management and Capacity Development, Abil Castaneda, encourages these property owners to take advantage of the amnesty program as soon as possible, given the fact that there is an expiration date of December 31st, 2022.
I think it's various factors, to be honest with you, but one of the main ones is that when you go on to, let's say you have an apartment right now you want to sell, you can open an account on Airbnb and on VRBO and these other platforms without the requirement of needing to show that you are licensed and registered. So that's actually in parallel what we're working on with Airbnb, which is the major player in the market here in Belize, to ensure that that is part of the process for them to be able to be approved as an Airbnb facility moving into the future. But before we have that, we still have quite a bit of properties that we know are out there. And the reality is, when we do, if a property would come in today that has been operating for 5 years, let's say, when they come in right now, the process is that we would have to do a tax assessment on them for the 5 years which they were in operations, and they would be liable to pay those taxes and back taxes and penalties. And so, as a way to promote the kind of recovery process for tourism, the whole trying to formalize the informal sector, we, the BTB and the Ministry of Tourism, decided, you know what, let's give a break.
On Saturday, former Prime Minister Said Musa and legendary musician Lord Rayburn were conferred honorary degrees by the University of Belize during its commencement exercise. The academic degree, for which UB waived all the usual requirements, were bestowed upon both distinguished gentlemen for their contributions to the Belizean society in the areas of politics and music, respectively. While Lord Rayburn was able to attend the graduation ceremony, Right Honorable Said Musa, who is still recovering from illness, was unable to be there. Standing in for him and accepting the recognition on his behalf was his son Kareem Musa. This morning, Musa spoke with us about the honor conferred on his father.
It was truly definitely a special moment for me as minister to be there with all the graduates, but also as a proud son to be there on behalf of my father to receive this very well-deserved distinction from our national university. And as the Right Honorable Dr. Said Musa said, no Harvard, no Cambridge honor could even match up to an honor like this coming from the University of Belize. So we're very grateful as the family for this recognition, and of course he is extremely grateful as well.
Just ahead, knockout rounds for inter-office basketball, and amateur cyclists go up against elite riders. This and more with Paul Lopez on Sports Monday.
Welcome to Design Depot, all in one place. Shop brands you know and trust, like Kohler. Welcome, GE Appliances.
Welcome.
Oran Windows.
Welcome.
Tiles from around the world.
Welcome.
Sherwin-Williams Paint and Coatings. Visit us today at mile 3 on the Philip Golson Highway or call us at 223-3768. Design Depot, all in one place.
Taking its name from the venerable father of the nation, the George Price Highway stretches 77 miles from Belize City to Benqueviejo. Originally built in the 1930s, this cross-country highway system is the artery that links Belize to Central America at the western border with Guatemala. That connection facilitates overland trade, supporting Belize's economic development. Winding its way across the scenic countryside, the George Price Highway from Roaring Creek to Esperanza has been fully reconstructed to meet international standards, with particular emphasis on road safety. A shorter and hassle-free commute is best enjoyed when everyone obeys the traffic laws. To reduce the number and frequency of road traffic accidents, it means that a seatbelt must be worn at all times and the speed limit observed when traveling along the highway. It also means that pedestrians must use sidewalks and crosswalks where available. Buses should only board and discharge passengers at a designated bus stop. Road safety is everyone's responsibility. It begins with you.
How are we to measure the success of our lives? For many, an ordinary life should have the following: a job, a house, enough money to buy a new car. But what if we threw out the ordinary? What could escaping ordinary at our jobs do? How about for our marriages? What if I told you we could all be escaping ordinary? Join us as we begin our new series.
And Messi is standing over this. Messi.
Great entertainment stays with you, and we bring you great entertainment. Next Gen, the ultimate digital experience.
Everyone, including our elderly, needs to stay connected with their loved ones. With Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program, senior citizens can sign up for 10 megabytes of unlimited internet at a low monthly cost of $25. Citizens over 65 can sign up with a valid ID and receive free installation plus 1 month free on selected broadband plans. Visit a Smart showroom near you for more information on how you can enjoy Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program. Smart, bringing people together.
Good night, folks, and welcome to another edition of Sports Monday. I am Paul Lopez. We bring you highlights from sporting events that took place over the last week. Tonight, we continue our coverage of the Inter-Office Basketball League. We will focus on 2 cycling showdowns, tell you what's happening in boxing and in tertiary level volleyball. Let's kick tonight off with some basketball. The Mexico Sports Center in Belize City came alive on Friday night with back-to-back action. 8 teams went up against each other for the top 4 spots in a win-or-go-home showdown. Grace Kennedy took on Tough Enough in the first matchup. Even though Tough Enough came in the knockout rounds undefeated, Friday night was the opportune time for them to be sent home. But Grace Kennedy just did not have it in them to do so. Tough Enough showed them why they are in fact tough enough, demolishing Grace Kennedy 79 to 40 points. Top scorers for the night were Francis Arana with 17 points, the one and only Kevin Hamilton with 17 points, and Ian Rene with 16 points.
We don't take no team lightly because at the end of the day, this is our one drop. So we had to come in with the mentality to win and win by as much as we could without playing with the game. So we managed to get out the victory. I'm happy for that.
The wins over the playoffs weren't just fluke. We worked hard and we put in the work. And basically over the season, we became a little bit about chemistry. So these games, we're still building chemistry. However, we're sticking to the game plan, which is defense and being consistent.
Also dominant in the knockout rounds was Central Health Region Customs. They defeated Holy Redeemer Credit Union by 27 points in a 64 to 37 finish. The unstoppable Glenzie Lopez scored 21 points in a show of gamemanship and skills, running the ball down the court, making the passes, getting in for the rebound, and making the assist. Plays like these throughout the game gave him 8 steals, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists. How do you feel about your performance tonight?
I feel great. I'm happy I get a win.
Tell me about what's the mindset and the conversation that you guys will have to have going into the next game, because the competition only gets harder after this and the stakes are only higher.
Yes, I just have to call the hard work and the teamwork. I work for communication.
The third match of the night saw Belize Water Services go up against the Belize Police Department. At the end of the first quarter, BWS was already leading by double digits. They maintained that lead throughout the remaining 4 quarters for a 70 to 57 victory. And in the final match, the Belize Coast Guard sent home Devin Daly and the National Sports Council Belize City Council team. BWS has its biggest challenge yet as the team faces off against Tough Enough in the first game of the semi-finals on Friday night. The Belize Coast Guard and Brandon Flowers will be going up against Central Health Region Customs. From basketball, we move on to some cycling action. In May of 2021, the Guns Racing Club started off with 17 riders. The founder, Israel Gonzalez, sought to organize races to develop amateur cyclists. Since then, the club has grown quickly, with elite and master cyclists now competing against those same amateur riders. Every week, Guns Racing Club hosts a race in various categories. This past Thursday, the club hosted a race from the Old Belize to the roundabout in Hattieville and back. Here are some highlights from the event.
There goes Kieran. It looks like it's all Kieran right now, but it's not over until the fat lady sing. There comes the main peloton. Kieran jumped out a little bit too early. Kieran jumped out a little bit too early. There goes the barber. Who is the barber working for? Okay. There goes Green. Not go too fast, you just have to ready. All right, the sprinters. And there goes Barney Brown. Stay well to the line. You have to go up in there. There goes Barney Brown. Barney Brown is there.
It's been a few months over a year. They actually had a big race for his 1-year anniversary, and it's fully funded and fully supported from a logistics perspective by Mr. Israel Gonzalez. He is the one that's behind this, so we definitely want to thank him for providing an outlet for for these younger cyclists coming up, and also guys like myself, the masters, to kind of keep in shape. It's been a great thing.
It's very competitive, and it's like, for example, we have weekly races. The average that we compete now with the weekly races is not too far from what the elite does, and everyone there in the Guns Club competes with these elites and finishing close with these elites. So the level has, if you look at the record, it's growing and growing, and everyone's getting better thanks to these elites and seasoned veterans.
On Sunday, 79 riders in both the amateur and the master categories rode against each other in a race from Belmopan to Old Belize. Here is a quick highlight from the exciting finish of that race, courtesy of Gun Cycling Club.
Mr. Roca is off. Mr. Roca, go, let's go. Mr. Roca is off with a ball of speed. Roca Marcus is off with a ball of speed. No one can contest Roca Marcus. No one can contest Roca.
Okay, 2.
Now, we must shed some light on the Belize Boxing Development Council for its continued investment in the sport of boxing. The council hosted an amateur fight night in the Garden City where Belizean boxers squared up against boxers from Guatemala. Also, congratulations to the St. John's College Junior College volleyball men's and women's team. On Saturday, both teams secured their places in the 2022 Atlib Volleyball Nationals, which will be held this coming weekend in San Pedro and Berkeley's Key. And that's it for this week's coverage of Sports Monday. If there's a sporting event in your community that you would like for us to cover, you can contact us at 280-0014. Until next time, I am Paul Lopez.
And that's the news. Tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Sabrina Daly. Thanks for joining us. And from all of us here at News 5, please remember to wash your hands, keep your social distance, and stay safe. Good night.